Good morning, Tableau friends. We are back with another Workout Wednesday walkthrough. I'm Curtis Harris, and this is a special guest edition of Workout Wednesday. We have Andy Kriebel giving us our workout, which kind of scares me a bit. This looks fairly easy on the surface, I guess you could say, but Andy has historically given us a stricter set of rules than we're used to seeing. I know for a fact that this one is table calculations only, something that I have never been quite comfortable with. So this should be a stretch for me to see where my skills land, and I'm excited to get going. So let's take a look at the instructions and see if we can get close in under an hour here. Okay, first thing I noticed right off the bat is we are not working with Superstore data. So I've been getting pretty comfortable with that data over the last few weeks. So this will be an interesting challenge to move away to something different and see if we can reproduce one of Andy's Makeover Mondays. So let's get started on this. I'm going to open up the Tableau Public workbook and see if we can just start to get going. Just by dissecting what's going on here. As you know me, I like to click around and see how things look. I'm getting the blue highlighting here on these labels, which indicate these are headers, so we're not working with anything fancy right off the bat. We just have a field on rows and columns. And let's start to build that out. So we have non-Hispanic, Hispanic, and both. We're looking at different types of populations. Here we are looking at different genders here, and we are also looking at adults and children. We'll have to see how Andy defines adults and children. So let's see. Let's drag something out here. Origin, that looks to be the right field. We have Hispanic, non-Hispanic, and total. I'm guessing Andy has just aliased the total to be both. So I'm going to go ahead and do that really quick and hope that I'm right. So we have both Hispanic and non-Hispanic. And I will go ahead and change that one as well, because not Hispanic is not what Andy says. And if I know Andy, he's going to get mad if I don't do exactly what he has. Let's put sex on columns, both female and male, both female, male, both Hispanic, non-Hispanic, both female, male, both Hispanic, non-Hispanic. So we have the same setup as Andy has initially. I'm guessing this is the last easy part I'm going to experience, but we are good to go here. So this is our layout. If we go back, Andy says you can only use one sheet, so there's nothing to hide from here. It's really just this, and we need to build out the guts, if you will, the interior of his chart. Match the title, column headers, and row headers. You need to view sex across the view and origin down the view. Make sure your sort order matches, so we have that percentage of the total population for that age group for that year. What I'm trying to find here is that where Andy actually defines what's adults and what's children. So we're looking at 65 plus and under 18. And if I look through all of these, I'm not seeing that. I'm seeing columns for each of these ages, which is a total nightmare. So I guess we're going to have to build those calcs out really quick. I'm not seeing anything that could really split them for us. So this is unfortunately going to be a very annoying little exercise to do. I could probably pivot these and group them, but for time's sake and for simplicity's sake, I'm just going to go ahead and build out something in Excel to make writing the calculation a little bit easier. So under 18, we essentially need all of the columns that represent those ages. So here, I'm just going to go ahead and force Excel to build out the calculation for me. And then I'm going to do a lot less typing. I only have to do it once here. And then go from there. So I have age, space, the number, and then we're going to close it off with another bracket and a plus sign. Okay, so we have a pretty close calculation. We're going to say under 18, and there we go. So you can see how I saved myself a lot of time typing those out by bringing it into Excel and making its calculations work for me. So I have under 18. 65 plus, I can do the same thing. I don't even have to change anything here. I can just build out my structure so Excel knows what I'm doing. And we'll drag this all the way to, let's see, 100 specifically. So here, let's just go ahead and grab this all the way up to 100, and we'll make our 65 plus column. So we have every number between 65 and 100, and we are good to go. So we have under 18, we have 65 plus, and hopefully we can start to see something stand out. So from here, I'm going to drag year onto columns because we want to create these line charts. I'm also going to put measure names on color. Going to filter this first to 65 plus and under 18. And we're going to put measure values on rows. So right now we have two line charts that look similar to Andy's in shape. They're going to be pretty matching in shape. We have to change these to percentages of totals, but the shape of them is pretty similar. So let's see if we can actually balance out our numbers here. So if I said 73.6 million, see if I can download anything. No, I wanted to get the actual number, but let's see if this is right. So this is the under 18 number in 2016 on the both category, and I'm looking for 73.6 and 49.2. And I'm not getting that. I'm getting numbers that are way higher than that. So we have 2016. We're right there. And we have 2016. Okay. We're looking at data that's not matching Andy's whatsoever. I wonder if I need to look at race and change this to something like that, all races. I really don't love data sets that have these restrictions on it that you don't really know about, because I'm theoretically, if I'm right, I'm overcounting by all of these other races by not filtering to anything. So if I have all races, that should just be looking at the aggregates. And I think this might actually balance out now. So we have our under 18 number of 73.6. Okay, good. And our 65 plus is 49.2. And we can see those both right there. And I think we have a matching layout for the moment. So if I look at the next one down, I can see 18.3 and 4, 18.3 and 4. Okay, we are good to go. I'm going to save this. This is already starting to be pretty similar. And let's just go ahead and change these to be a percent of total on our measure values card. Can throw on our labels for the line ends and see where we're still off. If I look at Andy's, we have 15 or 22.8 at the start and 15.2 at the start. So what I want to do is probably alter these numbers. We're looking at table across. That's not what we really want to do. I think we want to narrow that down to the year that we're in. So let's uncheck year and check the other two and see if that gets us there. So we have 15.2 and 22.8. That's not right. We could do all of them. That's not right as well. We could maybe just check year. And that's not right either. So what I need to do is actually just, not be a dummy and go back and look at the instructions and see specifically what Andy is looking for. So let's take off those, get back to where we were, and go back and actually read like any logical person would do. Each line represents the percentage of the total population for that age group for that year. Each line must have a dot on the end. This is going to be a dual axis. Each line represents the percentage of the total population for that age group for that year. Okay. He's saying we must use table calculations. The funny thing is, this is not the total population. So if I open this up here, let's look at this again. Let's see if we have those numbers here. So if I said, yeah, because those don't add up, right? 15.2% and 22.8% is not 100. So we need that extra context. We need everything that's not the 65 plus and the under 18. We need this total population. If I add this to my view, and if we do, let's just pull open our calculator just for fun, and we can say 73, 642, 285 divided by 323, 127, 513, we get 22.8%, which if we pop over to Andy's, we get 22.8%. I don't see why this has to be a table calculation, to be honest. I don't know why that would really matter. I don't see why I would have to not have it be a level of detail. I'm just not seeing the point. So maybe let's just look at it a different way, and maybe as we go along, we will get to the reason why Andy is making us do a table calc. Okay, so here, let's make our percent of total calcs. And throw those on our view. And if we look at it now, I'm still not totally understanding why Andy is making us do a table calculation. I'm pretty sure that this right here is the same exact view that Andy wanted. You may only use table calcs, no level of detail expressions. Well, Andy, I didn't do either. I don't know why I would need to use a table calc here. This is looking fine. 23, 17, 25.5, 18.6. I mean, I have it right here. Why would I do the extra overhead of a level of detail calculation or a table calculation if I don't need to do either? So Andy's going to yell at me but I'm going to proceed as is because I think avoiding both and keeping it simple like this is probably the better way to go overall. So I will concede that in the end, I'm not going to be complete because Andy will definitely be mad at me for not doing it the proper way. But I don't care, as we've learned by now. Okay, so let's just get our colors going here. We'll try to go out E85, 839. Okay, and 3B6, A9C. Okay, we have our colors right. We're going to change our labels. Actually, let's finish out. We'll deal with the labels in a minute. We do need the endpoints here. And Andy's saying I want a dot on each endpoint. So I'm actually going to have to narrow down the start and end years. So we have 2016 and 2060. Let's go ahead and create those. Endpoint 65 plus. So we'll say if the year is equal to 2016, then there's probably a shorter way. I mean, I know there's a shorter way to write this, but I'm just going to go with what felt right at the time. So I'm just looking at these 2 years and saying, give me those values. And by not having an else, I'm letting everything else be null. I'll do the same for under 18. Actually, this is, okay. This could be tricky. So I don't have the concept of 2 measure values cards. So I can't really do what I was going to do. I have to use the same ones. I don't want that. Clearly don't want that. I'm going to do a line. I'm going to add measure values to the label of my dual axis. I'm going to say only label the line ends. Let's turn that overlapping off. And here in color, let's add a marker. And that doesn't work either. Okay, so maybe this is where Andy's gotcha is with the table calcs. So if I look at this, let's hover over that. We have dots everywhere, it's looking like. So if I hover over a line, nope, I get dots there as well. Just trying to look at the behavior here. His lines almost look a little pixely, and I don't know if that's just my screen, but I'm not sure if there's like some kind of trick going on here that makes it look a little weird. Let's add these and see what we get. Just finish out my initial theory and go from there. We might be able to add them all to our measure values and match the colors, and it will have the illusion that we're looking for. So percent of total, what did we name these other ones? 65 plus endpoint. So we're going to say we're going to do this. Okay. Duplicate that, and we'll go percent of total under 18 for the endpoint. Where's my other one? I could have swore I made that. Anyway, let's just make our endpoints for our 18. Okay. Now we can edit this. Okay, let's put those on here. Oh yeah, so there's our dot. It looks funny, right? We're adding these points that are essentially already there to our card as a line shape, but a line shape in Tableau without a connecting point next to it is just a circle. So we have our circles here. We can just go in and edit our colors and actually just match. I'm just going to do this instead of typing it out again. Okay, so look, there's our line with a dot. And I'm thinking we're looking pretty good here. So let's see if we can work on the tooltips. I think I have everything I need. Probably just add all of these. So we're going to say percent of total to our detail. Let's just add it straight to the tooltip. Percent of total 18 under, percent of total 65 plus. We want those numbers as well. So we have all of these different numbers. We have the percents, we have the actual values, we have the year, and nothing else is being displayed. We just have this little dot mark that I'll have to go find from the alt commands. Let's go in and actually just change things out. So we don't want either of those. We do want year. We don't want that. Okay, everything looks to be centered. Okay, so we have those. If I know Andy, yep, I knew that. He wants 1 decimal point for everything. Andy will get on your case if you do more than 1. So let's have those be in millions. Of our 65 plus be in millions with 1 decimal point. We'll have our percent of totals be percentages with 1 decimal point. And there we go. Looking good. Okay, so let's finish this out. Go to the tooltip here. I'm just going to say population. We have the children on the left, the adults on the right. So let's go ahead and cut this out. Just put an O there for the time being until I can get that right code. Go down here and say percent of total, percent of population. Again, we'll have the kids on the left. An O to split it out, and I think we are there. So this is essentially Andy's tooltip, less formatting. So let's see if there's anything. All 4 data points in the tooltip require table calcs. No, they don't. We're not going to do that. Create dynamic labels and tooltip. Oh, this is the wrong one. Let's go to the actual blog post. Match the tooltips. Okay, well, that's helpful. All 4 tooltips require table calcs. No, they don't. We know that. I'm going to go ahead and finish these tooltips up just so we're done. See if we can match this. So here I'm going to move everything down to 9. Let's bring our year up. Let's make this a lighter color. Let's make this larger. And probably looks to be bold. It's hard to match the tooltips. Like if you can't match Andy's specifically, it's highly difficult to match them when there's no direct instructions. So as best as you can do, I'm sure will be acceptable. So I'm just going to grab the colors from my color legend. Oops, don't do that. Here. Yeah, that looks pretty close. I'm gonna go get the alt code for that circle. Actually, you know what? I don't even have a full keyboard right now, so I'm just gonna leave it as an O, which is a little janky, but I legitimately don't. Well, no, I could Google it actually. Alt characters and just paste it in. Let's see. Maybe this will work. That's a little weird. No, we don't want to do that. This is a much easier experience on a Mac, by the way, because there's the symbol keyboard that you can just tap into and grab. So I do wish I had my Mac back for this specific reason. But there we go, we found it. Okay, so again, I mean, without direct instruction, I'd say those tooltips look pretty good. Just going to change a couple more things here and get them just about right. Okay, say that looks right to me. We are not showing headers. We are still labeling the line ends. We are matching our mark color. I'm going to make these smaller. See how Andy deals with that. I've got some funky stuff going on here with overlapping. So I'll admit, like, this is a little bit wrong. Tableau's trying to label everything, and it's moving things around, and it's making things fairly weird. With how I set it up. And maybe, again, this is probably why Andy has the tooltip or the table calc requirements in there. I still am not going to say that that is absolutely necessary. So I'm just going to move things around until it happens to be right. And we'll play with it once we get it on the dashboard. And now we look to have reference lines to throw in another kink to show us where the timeline's crossed. That's going to be a tricky one. Oh, I really don't like that. I'm going to turn the labels off for a moment just to reduce the clutter on the screen. Okay. So what I'm going to do is create a Boolean just to look at those two values. So if we said the 65, what is it? Percent of total 65 is greater than the percent of total under 18, we can get that detail. We can add that. I wish I wouldn't have done the tooltips already because I want that here. That one. So we get false, 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 true. Okay, and I want the first true. That's the tricky part. Okay, let's look at this. We'll use this as a guide. So we can say if Boolean calc, then min year. And maybe this will get us there. First true year. Let's add that to our view. Let's also put this in here. So our first true year, these should all be null until I hit a true. Okay, that's good enough. So I have true years. I have everything else is false. I'm pretty sure I can just add a reference line for that first true year and just say find the min. And I think we'll be okay. So right there we have a dotted line, semi-thick dotted line, and we're going to show the value, and we don't want this to recalculate ever, and we're going to do it per pane. So we have 2034, 2026, 2025, 2055, nothing there, which is what we want, and 3 values down there, which is great. So I think this is okay. We want to format this. We're going to align these on the bottom right, which is how Andy's are displaying. We want to also take off the 1000 separator. We don't want any decimal places, and I'm going to move this down to 8 just because there's already a lot going on. Okay, so that's all right. Average year crossed. So we're going to name this year crossed. Minimum year crossed. I can't do average. I think that even though we can't edit the tooltips, which is unfortunate, I think minimum year crossed is more beneficial to someone who is looking at this for the first time than average year across. So I'm going to leave that there. Sorry, Andy, not worried about it. And let's do some formatting. I think we're essentially, we're getting there. So Andy wanted the row dividers there, so let's take out the column dividers. Let's go to our grid lines, and we have absolutely none. So let's just remove essentially everything here. Okay, so we're good there. Those are bold and rotated. Okay, so that looks great. We need this dot here, so let's go ahead and get that dot. That's what looks like the last thing. So, I'm still determined to do this without any level of detail calculations. I would love, 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 love to have them, especially right now. But I can't use them. I'm going to stick to that part of the requirements, no level of detail calculations. We'll see if we can actually pull this part off with that one. Okay, so what we want to do here, so we have that, we know when it's true. Let's see if we can do this with index, and a combination of the Boolean and index. Whoops, that's not what I wanted to do. So I'm going to say if that, then index. Index after cross. Let's add this to our tooltip for the time being. So we have nothing, 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 and 20, where I would want that to be a 1. So let's say, let's do those and see if this is right. So we have 19, 20, da 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 da. 1, 1, 1, 1. This is where I am just terrible, 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 terrible at table calculations. So maybe we could look at pain. No. And this just makes me feel really dumb. It makes me look really dumb. But this is truly like as good as I get with table calcs. And I often refer back to Andy's blog post to see actually how to do this. So viz whiz table calculations. Oh, come on. Oh, yeah, this is the one I was looking for. This is Andy's actual definition, like how do you read a table calc? So you do it in this order. For each unchecked thing, compute the thing you want to compute by this. So in order. So for each sex and origin, we want to compute the index by year. And I would think that this is how we want it to be. So here we have all falses, and then we get a 20. I'm imagining that means this is the 20th point. 12th point. Okay, so it's kind of right. It's the problem that the index is happening before this calculation. Oh, that's strange. So I wonder if we just tried using like a rank instead. So I wonder if we did this year after cross. Then I wonder if we just used index. That's not going to work. I mean, it's an aggregate. So I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to get there. Let's take away that. Let's go back to our index after cross. Still think that's how we want it. I mean, I just want that to be a 1 instead of a 0. So I am not sure how to do this. Year crossed. So maybe we could tap into what our reference line is doing. So the reference line is looking at this field, and then it's taking the min on top of that. So I wonder if we did that. So let's see. So if year crossed is equal to the window min year crossed, then what do I want? What do I want it to be? Where is this circle actually landing? It's just kind of at this odd point. I'm guessing it will be the 65 plus % of total. So if the year crossed, which is all of the years after it crosses, is equal to the window min year cross, which would be the first one, then show me that % of total 65 plus. I'm going to leave it calculation 1 because I truly have no bright ideas as to how to actually do this or what to actually name it. So we're going to go ahead and put this back to how we had it. So by year for these other things. Okay, by these things, compute the thing by year. So we got this dot here. We got it here. We got it there. I think we did it with a table calc. So let's dual axis. Let's synchronize. And we have dots where we want them. Holla freaking Luya. Take that, Kriebel. Holy heck. That's really hard. I'm not going to lie. So let's remove our measure name from color. And we just want this to be a black dot. Okay, so we are looking all right. I'm sorry if you've been seeing this recording indicator the whole time, but if you have, at least you've seen that this truly is one take. Super hard to do. And how does he have this? So 2016 and 2060, that's really odd. So he has it every, what the hell is that? I can't even think right now, thanks to Andy. So that's every 44 years. Let's just hard code that in because we're lazy, and it will work. So tick marks, fixed. Tick origin is at 2016, and we'll do it every 44, and that will give us our 2016-2060 effect. Okay, how do we finish this up? So let's get rid of all this junk in the tooltip. We don't want that. We have something resembling what Andy's is. Let's go ahead and see if we can just tie this up. So we have a dashboard. No, we don't want a sheet. We want a dashboard that's 800 by 700. 800 by 700. May only use one sheet. Match this other stuff. So let's go and look at the view, and I'm just going to steal it from there. I'm going to add this sheet, put the title in. I'm going to take away that. Okay, so got the same thing there. Got all this different stuff, and it's matching because I took it straight from Andy's workbook. I'm going to turn on my caption and use that here. Designed by Andy Kriebel. Okay, good enough. Let's change this to 7, and we are going to take this here, leave the designed by Andy Kriebel, recreated by Curtis Harris. I'll add my handle there and see if that all fits. So we have the data source, this, designed by Andy, and recreated by me. Good enough. And let's go back and see if we can finish up. There's one last thing that's nagging that I think is going to be, really just something that doesn't work well, and that's the labels. And that's due to how I set it up. So we've got these ones here. You know what? I'm going to go in and do something that is wrong. But this is a one-time thing, a one-time analysis, and in those situations we can actually do this. So what you can do is right-click on a specific mark and go to the label and say never show. And that will get rid of these instances where I have this overlapping junk. And this is tedious, this is stupid, you shouldn't do this, but I want to finish this in a way that at least looks the same as Andy's, and this will be the way that I can do that. I really don't like how they're overlapping, so the labels must be on, oh god, Andy, oh this is too hard, I don't have enough time for this. The labels must be on the outside of the line ends. The label should be displayed in their Tableau medium at 8 points. Shit. Okay. So I got to label the left one way or I got to use one marks card for one of the labels and the other marks card for the other labels. I do see, well, there's no hidden reference lines here that are giving Andy that extra room. So he must be hard coding it a little differently. So if I did 2005 to 2000, I don't know, 70, we might get that padding that Andy has. Yeah, okay, so we're okay. So we're going to label the start of the line. And they're on the left, they're not necessarily on the center. Let's see what the specific requirement says. The labels must be on the outside. Okay, so that's all that really matters. Let's do this on the dashboard. You know, for one, I should put it there, which will force it to the outside, and the other alignment will be fine. So we got outside, 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 outside. We don't want that one. We don't want that one. We don't want this one. And we don't want this one. And I'm sorry, this is so freaking boring to watch. But this is the corner I backed myself into. So we've got that. And now we're going to have to get smart because we can't... shit, how am I going to do that? Oh, this is hard. Oh, Crable, this is really, really difficult. Okay, so again, I'm going to go against the grain, and guess what? You can just drag and drop these labels, and that's what I'm going to do, because I'm over it, and I need to move on, and I want to finish this up. So we're just going to cheat and just drag it. This came out a while ago, a long time ago, where just one of those things that someone stumbled upon that kind of blew away the community, for lack of a better words. Like, nobody knew you could do this at the time, and it was just this shocker of a feature that kind of just surfaced itself. So if you have like this one-time analysis, you know the data's not going to change, which I'm not going to touch this again. You could just move the labels around how you see fit. So Andy said, let's put these on the outsides of the lines, and I backed myself into a really bad corner here. But he didn't say how I had to show them on the outside of the lines. So this is how I'm going to approach that. And I don't have much to talk about through this, so you can just watch and cringe at how boring it is. And hopefully you are cursing Kriebel as well as I am, because this was a very difficult challenge. And for one, like, I didn't even finish it because per the rules, I had to use table calcs to create the lines. I didn't think you needed to do that, so I didn't. But that would officially mean that I failed this challenge, which I'm totally okay with, because I don't think you need to do table calcs there. I don't think you need to do level of details there. I think having it this way is a little simpler if someone had to go in and see what you were doing to make the lines. Obviously, what I'm doing now would not be a scalable solution. If we were to get new data in, if this was like a work setting, this would never fly, right? You would have new labels coming on and they wouldn't look right, and you just couldn't do this. So one way or another, I think we're there. You should only see 2016 and 2060 on the axis. There needs to be light gray grid lines for each of those 2 years. Okay, I didn't notice that, but that's easy enough. We can just add those in right there. So that was easy. Match the tooltips, dash line. Okay. I think that this matches Andy's, even if it doesn't match how he wanted it to be built. We can go and adjust our labels to be Tableau medium. I know he did have that in there. And this, to me, looks very, very, very similar. These headers could probably be smaller. Which looks about right. Okay, so I think we're good. We have everything we needed as far as the requirements go. We did fail on the table calc requirement, but I'm okay with that. Like I said, you do the thing that works for you. It is good to know different methodologies to do the same thing, but I don't think you have to force yourself into one or the other. All that being said, like we didn't do it. We didn't do what Andy said, so I consider this a failure, but success in another way, because I did learn some new things. These crossing point reference lines and this dot, and looking at data that's only after a certain thing happens in the data set was something that I'm not used to. And if I know Andy, what he's saying is pretty commonly is if I didn't learn something in a day that I failed. So considering I did learn something today, it took me a while to build this, but we did build it. I consider this a success on my end. So hopefully this helped you get some ideas if you're here to get the solution as it was drawn up by Andy. Sorry, he came to the wrong place. It's just not how we wanted it. But hopefully this will get you in the right direction and help you learn something along the way. So I'll get this published, and I hope to see you next week for my Workout Wednesday. Have a good day. Thanks.